You're listening to the Omi Show. I am Omi Bell, and it is Sunday. You know what time it is. We came to give you all the goods and all the game. Today, I'm welcoming to the show Steve Davis, the CEO of Total Wealth Academy. Steve has spent 3 decades helping Americans, as well as those outside of the U.S., become financially independent through his Total Wealth Academy, which teaches people how to build a second stream of income with active and passive real estate investment. Steve has trained hundreds and thousands of people seeking a practical path to financial empowerment. Welcome to the show, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, look, okay, you about to give me some game today because I'm literally thinking of this myself. Okay, so I
Okay.
know you help young people, people of all ages. So I'm sure our people listening are gonna get into this topic. The first, our question is always the first question is: you could be doing anything in the world. You could be selling the seven seas. You could be climbing mountains. You could be somewhere farming, to save cows. You could be doing anything in the world. Why or what led you to start Total Wealth Academy?
I it really comes down to a lot of my mentors and what I learned through really a tremendous amount of reading. Everything you just listed is all pleasure, and a lot of people associate pleasure to happiness, but that's not happiness. It's simply pleasure. Climbing a mountain, sailing, doing all that. And certain people are pleasure seekers and they spend their entire life looking for the next pleasure, never really fulfilling or feeling fulfilled. Um, the Dalai Lama makes a point that the goal of life is to be happy, but there's a catch. You're never going to be happy unless you're helping and serving other people.
Oh
Um,
no, Stephen, we can't talk about the Dalai Lama no more.
why not?
You didn't see the recent you haven't seen the recent viral videos and apology from the Dalai Lama about the little kid that he made gave the kid a kiss on the mouth, which was could have been cultural, but what happened was he licked his tongue out at the kid and asked the kid to suck his tongue. And it's all on video and it's viral right now. So we can't talk about a
How do
Dalai
you make a
Lama, okay,
mistake
Steve?
like that? Oh my God.
So
Oh,
yeah,
Lord of
it's
mercy.
bad. Okay, so we're gonna have to leave the Dalai Lama what he said out of it, but it's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'm not the type person that because one person makes a mistake, I discount everything else that they did in their life. Um, I have a lot of people that I still love and adore that have made mistakes. So I'm not that type. But if you continue on, the whole concept is that I found my passion and my joy helping people. I suffered, and my parents suffered a lot with money at the beginning. And I watched the fear, the insecurity that my parents suffered with, and it really inspired me to do things differently. And when I became effective and financially successful, I wanted to teach other people how to do it. I noticed that my friends were asking me, of course, none of them ever did anything, but they were always at, what'd you do? What'd you do? How'd you get rich? And I loved telling them. So I found my dream, my passion, my way of helping serving other people is teaching them how to build wealth. So bottom line, I get massive dopamine rushes from helping people build wealth. There's nothing like going to an apartment complex that I just purchased and rehabbed and having a little grandmother hug me and say, did you know that I didn't even let my kids go out at night until you bought this place? Now my kids run around the apartment complex. You put in a children's area, you put in a playground, and that is rewarding. So I've got really two different angles where I get my pleasure.
Yeah, I love that. I think so. There's a couple things. One, you're right. Everybody wants to know how did you do it, and then I think that there's also a place where it's not like how did you do it like grit and grind, but it's more like, well, what did you get from somebody that helped you? So I'm curious, you mentioned mentors. What are some of the things that some of your mentors or, advice they gave you, or access to networks that they gave you, or I don't know if anybody gave you startup capital. Like, what are some of those things that you had to access in order
Sure.
to really, really take off?
Well, I became an avid reader at about age 16, and I started reading people like Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, people like that, and they inspired me to keep reading. At about age 27, though, I hadn't really figured it out. I was working 70 hours a week. I was good at my job. I won a national sales contest and a trip to Hawaii. And when I got back from Hawaii, they cut my pay by 20 grand a year. And what it did was it woke me up to the stupidity of relying on a job as your sole source of income. Now, about the same time, one of my mentors, I've never met him, but I've read everything he's ever written, is Warren Buffett. And he had made a statement that to Americans, and it was supposed to go out to all Americans, but it never got out. It's just in his books. He made a comment to a reporter: never rely on a sole source of income, a job. Always invest to create a second stream of income. So he wasn't referring to stocks or metals or crypto because they don't produce cash flow. He was referring to income producing assets like real estate. So I decided I was going to go the real estate route. Then I got a mentor, Carlton Sheets, multiple mentors, Dave Delgado, Tommy Vu. These were all guys selling infomercials, selling on infomercials on late night TV. So I bought all of their books, their CDs, took their boot camps. And 2 months after I got back from the last boot camp, I was able to quit my job because I was making more money with my real estate than I was at work. And I didn't have to work 70 hours a week. It also allowed me to save my marriage. Nobody likes this joke, but if you're working 70 hours a week, who's romancing your wife? It ain't you. So I almost lost my wife. And once I bought my life back from corporate America, I was able to save my marriage and continue to build wealth with real estate. So, but Tony Robbins changed my life from being a very insecure, fearful person to really believing in myself. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, blew my doggone mind. My company grew. After I read that book, I tripled the size of my company. But I could go on and on. I've had hundreds of mentors.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea of like this alternative way of thinking about mentors. 'Cause I think that people think like, oh, I got to go find a person that I talk to every day and they got to give me all their information. And it's like, not really. Like, we're being mentored all the time. TED Talks. Now you got
Yeah.
so many people you can follow even on social media that are giving like quick gems every day. It's like just listening, reading, audiobooks, like making sure you're engaging in material that kind of upgrades your spirit and your professional self. So, okay, what would you tell someone? Okay, so reading the books, and it's interesting. We could both read the same book, like art, right? It's art.
Yeah,
So we
right.
can read the same book and then walk away with two totally different things. You could walk away like, oh, I got it. I know exactly what to do. And I'm like, wait, what? so, so I'm gonna ask this question. What would you tell someone who has a total debt of about 75,000 and is living paycheck to paycheck, but wants to get out of debt and wants to start moving into investing in real estate?
It's all about a side hustle. It's all about a second stream of income. I would advise somebody, say 75 grand, and it's usually educational debt, college debt, when I see it in my clients, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. The one thing they've got to do is get the ego in check. As a rule, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're doing stuff to impress other people. You're buying cars you really shouldn't. You've got a house that's more expensive than you need. You're in fancy clothes, fancy watches, living beyond your means. That's ego-based living when you buy something to impress other people. once you get that under control, it's amazing how many people suddenly are able to save a grand or two a month. But you want to focus on a side hustle. And with real estate, the side hustle in the beginning is a thing called wholesaling. When I had bad credit, they cut my pay. I ended up with bad credit, no money. And wholesaling doesn't require either of those things to do. So I joined a real estate investor club and started wholesaling deals, making 5, 10, 15 a month. And that allowed me to pay off all my debt and get my credit repaired. So it's a side hustle. It doesn't have to be real estate though. It's find something that brings you joy, happiness, and helps and serves other people, and you'll make money. But it comes down to this. Most people are trying to save their way to success. That's completely ineffective. It's all about make more money. Because how are you going to save your way to success if you're always living paycheck to paycheck? There's nothing left over. You can't do it. And people will drive around town to save $1 on tomatoes or save on this dress or that dress. Cut it out. Stay home, read a book on wealth, and build a second stream of income.
It's interesting, the word wealth and then the word millionaire and the word billionaire and the word how do you define wealth?
Well, I look at life as 8-sided. If you see my logo up here, you'll notice the elephant has 8 rays coming out from behind it. Each one of those rays represents a different part of a balanced life. Family, romance, fitness, fun and recreation, constant growth, spirituality, career, and wealth. For me, wealth is when you're balanced in all of those arenas. You don't have to have millions of dollars to be wealthy. If you've got a beautiful family, you've got the romance in your life, you've got everything there, and you have income that is really double what you need. And what I mean by that is the needs are the bills. Like a little squirrel has to get a nut. You've heard it called a nut, I'm sure. You got a nut every month you got to hit. So let's say that's $5,000 a month. I think if you've got $10,000 a month in income, you're wealthy because you got $5,000 to pay all the bills and $5,000 for romance, travel, and fun. I do believe people need to go beyond that. But for me, at 30, I retired, right? When retirement sucks, by the way. I retired. I wasn't rich. I just had enough income that I didn't have to do anything. But to me, I was rich. No one would define me as rich, but I felt rich. I saved my marriage. I was spending massive amounts of time with my children, doing what I wanted to, when I wanted to, with who I wanted to. I felt rich. So I think that it's different for everybody. What I don't like is when people think, oh, they just strive for money. I need $10 million. And they blow their relationships, they blow their fitness, and they end up with the $10 million, but they're emotionally bankrupt. They're spiritually bankrupt. It's just not the right way to do it. You got to hit all parts of a balanced life.
Yeah, I love that because what I'm hearing you say is wealth also is a sort of state of mind and a state of being, right? That thinks about that thinks holistically. And some people can be cash rich, credit poor, credit rich, cash poor.
Yeah.
So it's like however you're managing your life. I think what I discover as over the course of leveling up my career is if you, similar to what you said about the $5,000 here and there piece, if you have $5,000 extra, and not extra meaning you're not paying your light bills with it, but I mean outside of just your basic needs,
right?
You pretty much can do what you want. Nothing really costs, over five, any trip you're gonna take, if you plan it out, you really ain't paying. I mean, depending on, unless you're taking a bunch of people with, and you paying for everybody. But for the most
Right.
part, like $5,000 can pretty much get you to into wherever you want to go, is what I discovered. Right. And I'm like, oh
Yep.
my goodness, this whole time I'm thinking I needed, like you said, $10 million. Oh my God, if I ain't got this. I think what I'm concentrating on right now personally is net worth. Talk a little bit about, and I think that's where real estate comes into play as well. When you're working with young people, do you only work with young people, or is it anybody can join?
No, I've got clients in their 80s.
Wow. Well, dang, I don't want to be 80 still trying to get it together. Okay, let me.
Oh, these people are not trying to get it together.
Oh, okay.
They have it together.
I'm like, oh, wow, okay. But did you meet them before their 80s and then they got it? You helped them to get it together, so they're 80 and they got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One guy, I've had a client at 72 come to me and tell me they couldn't retire. He had a bunch of money in his IRA and 401k, I think 400 or 500 grand. Well, you can't retire on 400 or 500 grand because you live 18 years. You divide 500 grand by 18 years, that's not enough money. Well, he hustled, invested in some apartment complexes. Now he's got 120,000 a year, 10 grand a month coming in for the rest of his life. So, and he's now, I think, 84 or 83.
Wow. Like imagine that, like being 72 and feeling like I can't retire. And so I feel like as we talk about like today's young people, like today's thought around wealth, what have you seen over the course of your career kind of change? Like how people maybe used to think about it versus how people think about it now? Or like are people's habits improving because of all the like access to education, or do you think it's getting worse? Like I'm curious.
Unfortunately, you're not going to be happy with this statistic. 95% of Americans cannot retire at age 65. 95%. That's been the same for 45, 50 years. So not much is changing, but I can tell you why. The reason is we're all given the wrong map to success. If you think about it, when you are born, your parents start telling you how to be successful. Then you go to high school, your high school teachers and counselors tell you how to be successful. Then you go to college, your college professors and counselors tell you how to be successful. Here's the problem. None of them are successful. How could they possibly teach you how to be successful? In other words, were your parents high school teachers or college professors, multimillionaire entrepreneurs?
No.
No. So they gave us the wrong map. What you've got to do is recognize that. So here's in a nutshell, what I'm saying. If you're 45, 50, and you're not in the financial position that you want to be in, it's not your fault. You were given the wrong map. You were told, go to high school, go to college, get a high paying job, climb the corporate ladder, scrimp and save, work for 45 years and retire off your savings. Doesn't work. Hasn't worked for 50, 60 years. You need a millionaire on your team, which is why my company exists. People literally come to me and go, man, I've been working 20 years. I'm still broke. I need a change. And I teach them a different map, give them a different map, and it works. And all I did was study the 5%. That's all you have to do. And what you'll learn is that 90% of the 5% who do retire successfully have second streams of income, and 70% of them used real estate to produce the second stream of income.
It's something I'm interested in. I want to come back because I don't want us to get into this next question. Then we run out of time. So I'm going to take a quick break, but stay here because I think the like interested in the gap between interested in and like in, and wholesaling is a way. I wonder. I got questions about wholesaling and I got thoughts on it. So you can be sticking around. So Steve Davis is here with us, y'all. Total Wealth Academy. Stay tuned because this has been a gem. I'm so excited about continuing this conversation because so many people out there want to know, hey, I've amassed some success. I've gotten some level of income or some job, and now I want to take it to the next level. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to the Omi Show. Keep it locked right here. We'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome back to the Omi Show. I'm Omi Bell. I'm here with Steve Davis, the CEO of Total Wealth Academy, and so much more. So we're gonna keep digging into how to build wealth. So we talked about real estate as a almost beginning it like a side hustle maybe, but as a second stream of income from whatever you're doing now. There's so many times and there's so many people, and even I've been in this position where it's like, okay, right? I followed a roadmap that was not the best one, right? I went to school, got the job, you know what I mean? Check, and check, got a degree. And then I was in a place where I'm not making any money. So then I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Started an entrepreneur journey. My entrepreneur journey has been successful. But here's another place that I think people fall. This entrepreneurial endeavor is successful. I don't think I could do. How do I do something else now? How do I side hustle what started out as my side hustle and became a main hustle? Now it's my main hustle and I got to go back to side hustle, and the energy to do that is where. So I'm curious about, like, how do you, after you've amassed some success or, turn your side hustle into a main hustle, how do you then create another side hustle?
Yeah,
to
I think that's a really good question. Take you, for instance. Now, you got a major uh, side hustle that's turned into your full hustle, I'm assuming. You would definitely want to put your money in real estate, because real estate is completely passive. You don't do anything. You just put your money there. We get about 3 times the rate of return that the stock market does. And that's me. All of my real estate investments are passive. I put up the money, somebody else manages the property, and you can get started in passive investing with as little as 50 grand. And you can use your IRA or 401k without tax or penalty to do it. If it's somebody who's found their passion like you have, and you're enjoying what you're doing, it brings you happiness, you need to focus on your time on that. Don't pick up a second side hustle that consumes your time.
Okay. But you know what? Okay, so this is good. And I don't mind using me because I unlock all of my business all the time, for not all of it, but you know what I mean. I'm here to share learnings with the world. Like, I feel like that's one of the purposes of me being here. When you talk about what fills you up, like, it fills me
Yeah.
up to be able to say, look, I went over there, and I'm gonna tell y'all what's over there, right? So the one of the challenges, I think, is never feeling like you have enough money.
Mm.
Right. So, like, I think the challenge is like, 50 grand, it came and gone, paying for college tuition for my kids and all, you know what I mean? And so, like, I've been doing this so long that my retirement that I did have was very small from my previous work. And so now I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, could I side hustle up 50 grand right quick? Right. This is my thought process. Could I
Right.
side hustle up 50 grand right quick and call Steve, and be like, Steve, okay, I made it, I got it. Are there different levels to enter at? Like, are there levels to enter at 5K, 10K, 15K? Are there different ways to do it? Like, how do you find an investment club that's like, where maybe you're not the richest, you're like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
trying to find my way. Does Total Wealth Academy do any of that work, or do you have your own investment club?
Yeah. Total Wealth Academy is an investment club,
Okay.
and it's an educational program, because passive investing by law requires a certain level of education, and we provide that. And there are ways to do. I've done deals with zero down. I've bought rental property zero down. I've bought apartment complexes zero down. But that is rare, and it's hard to run your career off of it. So, yeah, you need about 20 grand to get started minimum. Now, if you don't have 20 grand, you can wholesale like I described. And you were going to ask that. All wholesaling is you join a real estate investor club, collect a bunch of names of investors Find out what they want and go get it. Go hustle it up and sell it to them for a finder's fee. Again, that was anywhere from $5, $10, $15,000 per deal. Then you take that money, pay off all your debt, get your credit in line, and start flipping. Then when you flip, you'll start making $25, $50, $100,000 per flip. Then that allows you to save up the money for passive investing. So that's how people start if they don't have the 50 grand up front.
I appreciate that. And so that roadmap that you just laid out, I hope everybody took a note, and I hope you wrote that down. I hope you replay this, because really, that's the roadmap. Like what you just laid it out. The thing is, I think too, like you see so many, so you see the advertisements. Get into real estate with no money down. Come to the seminar. We're gonna get you in. If you are in a place where, should you go to those things? Like, I mean, I know you can't vouch for all of them, but I mean, like, I'm just saying that, like, are those like great places to start?
They are. You just have to take each one for what it is. Each guy has a specialty. And like I bought Carlton Sheets because he knew wholesaling and flipping. Then I bought Dave Delgado because he knew single family rental. Then I bought Dave Lindahl because he knew apartment complexes. And yeah, but it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded people. You want to find a club to be enrolled in as well. And we have members all across the United States, parts of Canada, and we do meetings on a monthly basis that they can watch from home. And it's like they're with multimillionaires and they're learning from multimillionaires. But you don't have to join my club. Find a club in your area. If you're more comfortable with live, find a club in your area. And you can find them. Just Google it and join and get around like-minded people that are doing what you want to do.
With your kid, you mentioned your son, I believe you helped him start investing at 8. I'm curious, like, tell us more about that journey.
Yeah.
Like,
What
and
I
for
did,
him, like, could he wrap his head around what he was doing, or it was more like, hey, son, I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to keep teaching you? How old is he now?
he's 31.
And so, I guess at some point it probably clicked for him what he was doing. But like,
Yeah.
tell us about like how do you work with an 8-year-old to get them
Sure. What
to
I
help grow their
did
wealth?
was around his 8th birthday, I bought him a copy of a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And The Richest Man in Babylon is told, well, as you know, it's told in parable format. So he was reading the stories like it was a Disney movie, but he was learning about wealth at the same time without him even knowing it. But when I gave him the book, I said, son, remember, you need a second stream of income. When he turned 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, don't forget, you need a second stream of income. When he asked me if he could go to college, I said, absolutely, if you promise to build a second stream of income. Well, he graduated college with 11 rent houses and $4,000 a month in second stream of income. Now, some people will say, your son must be brilliant. He must be hardworking. He is. So are you. So's everyone watching this. But how many of these viewers or listeners were told at age 8 to build a second stream of income? They weren't. See, the rich teach their kids differently than the poor and middle class. The poor and middle class want to teach their kids the right thing, but like we discussed earlier, they can't. They've never done it. They're not wealthy. I'll pick on financial planners, and there's some good ones out there. But the average financial planner in the United States makes 110 grand a year. So what people do is they go to them and they say, hey, I know you're not rich. I know you don't make a lot of money, but can you teach me how to get rich and retire?
No, it's so
They can't help you. You need successful people on your team.
Oh my goodness, you're speaking my language right now. I think so I'm writing a book. Well, not I'm writing a book, Lord. The book is about to come out. It's called Originate, Motivate, Innovate, 7 Steps for Building a $1 billion Network. And
Awesome.
what you're speaking to about like getting around, like just shifting your mindset, like reframing things. I remember when I first started my business, I went to the SBA, and I went to this like business plan writing class, right? And I'm in the class, and we sat there for a good 4 hours. We didn't write a business plan at all. Like we didn't like it was just they just talked to us about stuff, and I'm like, I got my money back because I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, when you
Good for
working
you.
here, you don't have a business. I think that's where it is. It's really interesting. I think that it's like I don't know. As you're saying it, I'm like, yo, why is it like that? Like, why is it that we've just been taught to go to these people who have never done it before, in a sense, to actually teach us how to do it, versus them helping us get around people who could teach us how to do it.
You know, it's sad, but it's the government is not there to teach people how to build wealth. It's there to put employees into companies.
Oh, I
And
love
the
that.
high school and college system is great at that. It gets people the highest paying jobs, it gets them jobs, which is what it's designed to do. The government is not in the business of teaching people how to build wealth.
So right now the housing market is a little crazy,
Hmm.
right? And so interest rates are going up and down. People are paying cash way overpriced for the homes. Like how do you like if you wanted to if somebody wanted to get in the game now, should they wait or should they like how should they be looking at the way the market is working right now? And that we're looking at this, financial crisis on the horizon. They keep saying, I think we already in it, but they keep acting
Yeah.
like it's coming, it's coming. What what how should they be looking at it if they want to get in now?
Well, one, they've got to stick to their guns. You don't pay above asking price. And the types of, Omi, the types of properties we're buying need help. They have deferred maintenance. They need 40, 50, $100,000 worth of rehab. We're buying them way below market, rehabbing them, and either leasing them out or flipping them. So I know, and I want everybody to feel confident. If you know what you're doing, you can make money in both the up and down markets. In fact, we make more money in the down market than we do the up. So, yeah, don't be afraid of the market. It's more important to get started wherever you're. It's never going to be perfect. Omi, when was the last time? Try to remember that the newspaper said, man, it's a great real estate market. You need to get in there. You need to buy real estate.
That's
I'll
so
tell you when it was.
never.
Never.
Never. No, you're so right about that. It's just not true. It just they never do it. It's never that. It's always like,
Never. It's
oh, we
always
concerned.
horrible.
Oh, we don't know. It could be a buyer's market. It could be a seller's market, but there's still like all these different concerns.
You
Uh
got it.
no, that's so wild. Well, what would you like for people to walk away with and hearing you speak, and like I really appreciated just how transparent you've been and willing to like unpack a lot of this. What would you like for people to walk away with?
I want people to believe in themselves. I want
Me
people to
too.
realize that they have, to borrow from Tony Robbins, they have unlimited power within themselves. But it's not going to come out if they don't read or listen to books from multimillionaires, successful people that have out of life what they're trying to achieve. If I my greatest advice and most effective advice is read, and when you're done reading, read some more. And I don't care whether you do it with the book or audio, but you pick what you want out of life. There's thousands of books on it. I remember when I was having difficulty with my marriage, I got a book on it. And amazingly, my marriage got saved. Read, read, read. Surround yourself with like minded people and ignore the naysayers. Anybody that says you can't do it, ignore those losers. Move ahead. Keep going. And don't be afraid to fail, because I failed over and over and over and over, but I kept getting up. If you get knocked down, get back up. That's a winner.
No, I love that. Failure is a mechanical term, right? And so I tell people all the time, like, it really shouldn't even be attached to humans. other than organs, which also work mechanically. Like it shouldn't. The word failure doesn't make sense to me. And in terms of either you just
I
stopped
love
doing
that.
it, you
That's
didn't like it.
interesting.
Yeah, you didn't like it anymore. You stopped doing it. You left it. But fail is like your engines fail, hearts fail. Like people don't
Yeah,
fail. It's like you working on a business. You decide, hey, I don't want to do this no more. It ain't working for me the way I wanted to work. So I think there is like, and I think people look at like working and fail. And for me, I'm like, not working is still not the same thing as fail, right? Like
right.
if your toilet's not working, you're gonna be like, my toilet has failed. Like nobody.
No, just go fix it.
Yeah, you just go fix it,
Quick.
or you get another one. Or you leave that house. Like you don't just go like, oh, even when your car breaks down, we say break down, right? We
Yeah.
don't be like, oh, my car has failed me. My tire blew out. It has failed me. Like what the heck? This is another one of those narratives that's out there, just constantly traveling. Throughout about like, oh, you failed as a person.
Yeah.
Half the test that we took in school was sucked anyway. Like it's just I'm with you when you talk about like really breaking into understanding new levels of like what is actually happening in some other realms of the world that you may or may not be in. And how you get insight to that. So how do people join Total Wealth Academy? Because you said they
Well,
shouldn't, that they don't have to join yours, but I think they absolutely have to now. What tell us about Total Wealth Academy?
yeah, if someone wants to check us out, we have a free sample class live in Houston or online around the globe. And they can go to totalwealthacademy.com and just click on the free sample class button. But I would like to make an offer, and that is I've got a free copy of The Richest Man in Babylon on my website. If anybody wants a copy of that book, go to totalwealthacademy.com/books. It's free. There's a reading list there and 2 free books that you can download. Anybody, that's a great place to start your reading adventure.
Thank you. Well, I love that. And we'll make sure we put that in the notes on YouTube and make sure we
Great.
also shout it out on Sunday during the tweets when this airs, because what you're saying is like super important that people read. Reading is not lost, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't read, listen to a book. If you don't read it all at once, I'm typically reading like 3 books at one time because I'm just
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, I'm like, oh look, I like that one. Pause that one. Oh look, let me see what this one says. I might be undiagnosed ADD, okay, but that's another story. But
Yeah.
ultimately, because our minds are so busy, especially like swiping online so much and reading things, it's just that our patience has shifted. And so I'm getting, like you said, that mentoring, like making sure that you're staying tapped in.
Yeah. And people think that you have to meet the person for them to be your mentor. No, Ben Franklin was one of my mentors. He's been dead for 200 years. But when I read his book, his autobiography, I got 84 years of experience in 1 week. You can't beat reading.
Wow. Well, listen, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Today, my guest has been Steve from Total Wealth Academy. Y'all make sure you check it out. Is it totalwealthacademy.com?
That's it.
All right. Totalwealthacademy.com. Build your wealth. Build your wealth. Real estate as a second income. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm absolutely looking for passive income. So I'm going to check it out myself and make sure that it happens. Become an Omi homie. Text HEY to 202-918-4483. That's HEY to 202-918-4483. Remember to go get your copy of the book, Originate, Motivate, Innovate, 7 Steps for Building a $1 Billion Network. It's on Amazon. It's on Books A Million. It's on Barnes & Noble. You can go and search my name, Omi Bell, and it should pop right up. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Be back here every Sunday at noon. You're listening to Sirius XM Urban View, channel 126, where talk empowers and becomes action.